blocked from the Terence Crawford rematch. Fact versus fiction. What's good, everybody? It's your boy, Cardinal Red Sports. Let's talk about it. Alright, y'all. So, a lot of things are being said about this Errol Spence Terence Crawford potential rematch. Showtime shutting down. And what's really going on behind the scenes. I just want to break that down for anybody listening.
So you could very well look at Errol and say, look, man, Errol, how important is your get back for you? Do you want to fight him now and have the sales not do as well? Or do you want to go through a series of fights that we can make for you that are all going to do good numbers? And through the course of three fights, you may make more money.
All right, y'all. So, man, this boxing community is comedy. But everybody's saying that Errol Spence shouldn't fight Terence Crawford in the rematch. I'm hearing a lot of people say that PBC don't want the rematch. PBC didn't want the original fight. And, you know, whether they wanted the original fight or they want the rematch or not, it really doesn't matter because Errol Spence wants to fight. So, if Errol Spence wants to fight and Errol Spence signed off on the rematch, then they kind of are contractually obligated to make these fights.
Dog. Somebody need to pray over this.
Now, I know everybody's saying that, well, Showtime shut down, so there is no more contract. Well, nobody knows what's in those contracts. Just like everybody said that Errol Spence missed the deadline to actually make the rematch, and then a few days later it came out that no, he actually activated the rematch clause.
That's a goddamn shame.
Then you had Terence Crawford say that, well, Errol Spence was supposed to put something in writing so the fight could happen at 154. He didn't actually do that. Then a couple of weeks later you had people come out and say, well, I think he's wrong and there's other stuff in the contract that speaks to the contrary of that. So, you know, when it comes to the internet, blogging world, and people talking, it's not really factual. And until you hear other big actual news sources say that the fight's not going to happen, then I can't take what these YouTube boxing channels are saying very seriously. Now, some of them have sources, but here's the thing about YouTube and YouTube sources. They never reveal their sources. So how could you believe that they have real good, reliable sources if they're not even willing to tell you who the sources are?
Let's face this and tasteless. Let me tell you about my day. Nothing crazy, just the basics. See, I go to a bitch job, tell her to leave, come with me. She like, why, Ken? I said, honey, you just a waitress. Outside this restaurant, I got a 2-seater spaceship, 200 down, 5 hours, be in 6 different places.
So it's kind of funny, but, you know, here's the thing. Okay, so people are saying that PBC doesn't want this rematch. How do you shop Errol Spence if he doesn't take the Terence Crawford rematch? How do you convince people to pay for another Errol Spence Jr. fight if he's not fighting Terence Crawford? Because he already got beat really bad by Terence Crawford. So the people who didn't like him, they're tripled down on the fact that they don't like him. The people that were on the fence about Errol Spence, they're kind of leaning toward Terence Crawford now. So they're most likely not going to buy an Errol Spence fight. And the fans that were hardcore Errol Spence fans, they're still there. But the numbers are shrinking. You know, he took a bad loss. Now they're being convinced by their friends, internet bloggers, and everybody else that Errol Spence is spent goods. Why would you keep investing in this guy? So a lot of even Errol Spence fans are turning their back on him.
Give me my money. No ribs. Nah, come on, B. No ribs, no rice, no champagne. You don't eat nothing.
So I think the problem that PBC is going to have is, how do you sell Errol Spence going forward? If he's not fighting Terence Crawford and at least giving a better showing or beating Terence Crawford, how are you going to convince the average person or the person who doesn't like Errol Spence to buy an Errol Spence fight?
Hypertension, high blood pressure, clogged arteries, vision going blind. I don't want all of it.
Whether he's fighting Tim Tszyu or whether he's fighting Jermell Charlo, and Jermell Charlo just took a loss, or whether he goes up and fights Canelo. Now, if you put him in there with a really big name, of course it's going to do good numbers. But if you put him in there with a guy, let's say like Tim Tszyu's not doing really big numbers. So the only people that are going to tune in are hardcore Tim Tszyu fans and hardcore Errol Spence fans. And if Errol Spence was only doing like 250,000, 300,000 buys, you got to cut that in half now. So he's only going to get about 150,000 at best people to tune in for him. And that's not very good. And if you added Tim Tszyu's numbers in on top of that, you might get 200,000, which is barely cracking what he was doing by himself, fighting, okay opponents at first when he was at the height of his career. So, you're not going to do really good numbers with an Errol Spence Jr. fight anymore unless he's across from somebody great. So, to me, the only way that you can redeem Errol Spence is by Errol Spence fighting Terence Crawford in the rematch. And he's going to have to beat Terence Crawford in the rematch. And if he doesn't and he goes a different route and you try to sell him, fighting Tim Tszyu or somebody else, unless it's Canelo, it's not going to do any numbers. It's just not going to do any numbers. So I understand people saying, well, he shouldn't go forward with the Terence Crawford fight because he's going to lose and all of this. I feel like this. The Terence Crawford fight is either going to make or break the rest of Errol Spence's career. He's made a lot of money up until this point. So if he fought Terence Crawford and he lost in the rematch, so be it. It's time for Errol Spence to retire. He's made enough money.
Let me say something.
But if he fought Terence Crawford and he beat him, then he's fully redeemed plus some. So I think it's a catch-22 situation for PBC. Yeah, you don't want to put up the money for the rematch because Terence Crawford most likely is going to get the bulk of that. And if he beats Errol Spence, then Errol Spence's career is done. It's dead on arrival. And there's nothing you can do about it. But the problem is his career is dead on arrival anyway, even if he doesn't fight Terence Crawford. If he doesn't fight, you're not going to sell any pay-per-views anyway, because the people who hate him already believe he can't beat anybody else because he lost to Terence Crawford. So what do? You put him in there with a nobody, he beats the nobody, and still nobody's going to care. Nobody's going to care because he beat a nobody or he beat somebody that he was already overmatching anyway. So they're going to break that down to the umpteenth degree, and they're going to drag him through the mud because he's fighting not Terence Crawford.
Hold on, man. I'm going to tell him. No, I don't care what the doctor said.
So, it's funny at this point. And if people wonder why I'm backing Errol Spence still, it's because he has no choice. He has to fight Terence Crawford. He has to beat Terence Crawford, or your career is over with. And if you go in another direction, you're just not going to do any numbers at this point. So you might as well go ahead and get the Terence Crawford rematch over, win or lose. It's the best thing for Errol Spence. And if he loses, hey, you had a great career up until this point. It's just time for retirement.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
And here's another thing. For anybody who comes on my channel and you say, hey, man, this is why I didn't subscribe to you, and, this is why I don't subscribe, I don't really care. I'm not making no money off of YouTube. I make $0 off of YouTube. Well, I'll take that back. I make about $100 every 2 months, maybe, depending on how many people watch the videos, which is not a lot. People on YouTube, they come around when they want to come around. Even the people who claim to be my big supporters, nobody's supporting this channel. Nobody's donated to this channel. I've never asked for a donation. So I really don't even care. I do this because I like boxing, because I like to support the guys I like. When Manny Pacquiao was my topic of choice, I supported Manny Pacquiao. I wasn't making $0 off of Manny Pacquiao because in all actuality, the views that come from the Philippines, they're worth less than a penny. The views that come from the Philippines are worth less than a penny in YouTube dollars. So I could have gotten 10,000 views off the Philippines audience and made $50 maybe off that. And now that I'm doing, American-based fighters, I'm still not making no money because I'm not getting 10,000 views per video. I'm not getting 20,000 views per video. I'm getting maybe 100, 200. So it's a labor of love for me. I just like talking about what I like talking about. If YouTube's willing to pay for it, hey, great. If not, I got 3 other businesses I run, and that's what makes me money, not YouTube. So you can come over here, you can hate comment, you can dislike, you can flag the videos. I don't care. I'm still going to put out another video tomorrow because I don't make any money by doing YouTube. And the people that make money by doing YouTube, I don't want to be like those people. They get on YouTube, they lie, they make up stuff, they clickbait, they pretend to have sources, and then the next day they turn around and say something different. And I don't want to be a lying YouTuber, so you're never going to catch me doing that. And I really don't care whether my videos do good or if they do bad, or if I get 1,000 views or if I get 100 views. Nobody's supporting this channel anyway, so why would I care? I'm just doing this for the 5 or 10 people who actually enjoy my content. That's all there is, really. The rest of them are people who hate it, and they just come over here to hate. So, you know, I don't know why people don't think I know this. You know, I look at the analytics every day, you know, and I'm not looking at it because I think I'm getting a lot of views. I'm looking at it because I think it's funny that people think I'm doing this because I'm going to make $1 million, or I'm going to get, you know, 10,000 or 20,000 new subscribers off my next video. I just think that that's funny, man.
Good news to you might be bad news to somebody else. Just because you happy and you excited that you ready to make something happen in life, and you saying all this good, I want to share this good news. Yeah, it's good news to you, but it's bad news to somebody else. Because sometimes you're telling people like, listen, I'm making things happen in life. I believe I can do this in a third, and they might don't feel that way about themselves, and they might not be doing nothing themselves. So a lot of times, our family, our friends, our associates, people at work, they be dream finesses. And what they'll do, they'll finesse you out of your dream.
Y'all let me know what y'all think about all that down in the comment section below. That like button for me. Share. Subscribe. Holler at me on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. But you're more than likely to get a response on the tubes. So holler at me over there. If you want to collab or feature a product on your channel or my channel, feel free to hit my Gmail, because it is a flock of cards at gmail.com. We are out of here.
The town where they born to hate, so it ain't safe if you got enormous weight. Baby mamas is up under the normal age, but it's a normal place, catching an enormous case. Where the cops handcuff you, put a floor to your face and pull, squeeze it firm and leave you squirming. Bleeding, burning, streets tough as reading German, preachers in the cut reading sermons. I'm trying to see if it's working. Where they see you in person, Nina's is bursting. Likely you in the need of a nursing. You wanna breathe, but it's hurting. How your people screaming in churches, dead broke, reaching for persons. Like, bitch, give me your bread. And disrespect alike, give me some head. I give you some lead. Look like they get you in red down in the 5-0. Too many haters think Louisville players ain't gon' bust you. L.O. You niggas better duck, you bitches better duck. I represent the 5-0. 10 nigga haters think Louisville players ain't gon' bust you. L.O. You niggas better duck, you bitches better duck. I represent the 5-0. 2 area code, shots faster than Marion Jones. A target dome and bury your bones in heritage zones. When I'm out of town, I compare it to home, and it's the same old type of shit carrying on. Like every hood area's clone, and it's sicker than malaria. These niggas carry their chrome just like they carry their phone. Whether you married alone, snitch type of Capone, move bricks and stones. I'm too slick to clone. I represent my home. Yeah, where niggas don't get along, so don't get me wrong, or you can get it wrong. Look, you gotta feel me. I own the streets where your anatomy a be. I gotta be a G. You might find me with text, you might find me in Lexington, but I rep 5-0. Too many haters think Louisville players ain't gon'